did you support Biden's vaccine mandate?
I didn't think that people should be forced to take the vaccine.
Okay, so then what's your problem with Trump? In which way did Trump mismanage COVID? Explain. I agree, he did. You explained how.
Because Trump, he belittled the situation instead of taking it with the seriousness that every other country took it with. We had countries that had more dense populations with less area to work with who managed COVID better, as opposed to the United States that has all this land.
So what should have Trump have done?
And less dense.
What should have Trump done?
What should have Trump done? I mean,
yes,
he should have taken COVID with the seriousness that it merited.
Okay, so Trump should have said, "Oh my God, this is really serious," and then the problem would have been solved.
No,
instead, Dr. Fauci, who has no reason to stick up for Trump, said, actually, Trump, with what he was saying publicly, was in line with what we were telling him to say privately, because what they were trying to do was not scare the shit out of people. And it turns out that scaring the shit out of people was actually the exact wrong thing to do. You see, the mismanagement of COVID wasn't that Trump didn't take it seriously. The mismanagement was that he took it too seriously, in effect, because he embraced sort of the lockdown. Let me finish. Because he embraced sort of some of the lockdown mentality that we saw. For example, he heavily criticized Ron DeSantis when Ron decided to open Florida back up. The reason that we saw such a catastrophe when it comes to economics wasn't because of COVID, it was because of the reaction to COVID, because we intentionally shut down the world economy. Then, predictably, once people started struggling and supply chains started collapsing, what did they do? They said, print money, spend, baby, spend. We got to send PPP loans. We got to send stimmy checks, right? That led to mass amounts of inflation and mass amounts of government spending. If Trump would have taken it more seriously, as you're advocating for, what that would have meant was more lockdowns and more stimulus and more spending, which you just criticized and said, well, Trump spent a lot. Yes, particularly in that last year. I agree with you. The spending was egregious. I agree with you. Trump should have had better leadership and said, if you're young and healthy, keep going to work, keep doing this stuff. Your freedoms are important. But we need to protect the vulnerable, those that are immunocompromised, the old. And that is on Trump. He was the leader of the country, and he didn't do that. But make no mistake about it. What you wanted him to do was the opposite, to lock down the working population even better. And that's what the Democrats wanted. You can't have your cake and eat it too and say, well, Trump mismanaged. That's why he had to spend so much. Okay, what should he have done? Taken it more serious and locked us down more and spent more. Right, which you just said's the problem, the spending.
You know, I mean, there's situations where there's reason to spend, and a worldwide pandemic seems to be a pretty good reason to spend.
So what's your criticism of Trump for spending then?
It's the places, the distribution, the direction in which the money went. It mainly went to the top 1%. The first COVID stimulus, it was, from what I understand, the greatest transfer of wealth.
Who crafted that stimulus?
What was that?
Who crafted that bill?
I mean, it was both sides.
It was Congress, right? And then Trump just signed it.
Yeah.
Who was in charge in Congress, Republicans or Democrats?
I mean, if you're trying to say that there wasn't a coordinated effort to transfer the wealth conveniently to those in power.
No, there really wasn't. Like, it certainly, well, yes, and certainly that happened, as was coordinated by both houses of Congress and both parties. True. But it wasn't as if you're saying, right? Yes, we intentionally created a system that through twofold led to the rich getting richer. One was we locked down sort of a bunch of places like privately owned, individual owned small businesses. In fact, some things said that 50% of small businesses that closed during COVID will never reopen. So while my local hardware that was owned by an old man who's been there for generations, it closed, I could go to Home Depot. Now, how did that make sense? It didn't. And this was done primarily in Democratic regions, but also in Republicans. And Trump definitely could have done more to stop this, and he didn't. So I agree with blaming Republicans and Trump to that degree. What I'm saying is the false dichotomy that they somehow, they're to blame and Democrats aren't, when Democrats wanted to go further, and their criticism of Trump is he didn't go further, is nonsensical. Yeah, so in one way, yes, when you give a bunch of people money and say, now listen, you can't shop at the local hardware store, but you can go to Walmart. Of course, Walmart's stock goes up. Walmart gets more money. Yep. And certainly the way that these bills were written justified a bunch of wealthy places that were able to get access to money that was laughable. For example, the PPP loans. Publicly, rich people bragged about taking these loans. It was a joke. I criticized this the entire time. I said, if it's going to be, look, we're all suffering and so everybody needs $1,000 check, fine, the bill should be one page. Every American of the age 18 or older gets $1,000 stimulus check. Bam, end of bill. Or every American who under this fiscal year made under $100,000 gets $1,000 check. Bam. Instead, it was like this massive 1,400-page bill with all of these fucking loopholes and bullshit. And yes, both Republicans and Democrats deserve criticism for it. But certainly things didn't get better under Biden. Per the same section of time when Biden was in office, more people died of COVID than under Trump. And that's despite the fact that Biden's big fucking plan was vaccines, something that was created under Trump's administration, when the Biden campaign said would be impossible. And they questioned whether or not you should even take it because Trump was going to be rushing it. So Biden was given all the tools that he would end up using to fight COVID and did worse than Trump.
The spending is not really the problem that I have with how Trump managed COVID. It's really the messaging. The messaging when everything first kicked off, belittling COVID was not probably the best move, even though he was trying to, from what I understand, trying to diminish or trying to.
It's a very weak. You understand that it's weak. This is sort of weakness.
I'm saying that.
Okay, let's do it this way.
We should handle it how many other countries around the world did as well.
What do you think
with the seriousness that it requires?
What do you think the best defense we had against COVID ended up being?
Probably knowledge on the virus, or I don't know.
Knowledge of the virus in general.
I mean, just like a better understanding of the implications.
Well, that's not what most people in your position say. What do you think most people in your position say? You know what it was that turned the corner?
Masks or distance? I don't know.
Wasn't mask or distance? What do they say?
I mean, I'm guessing that's what you're trying to get me to say.
No, that's not it. What is it the Democrats say? This is the thing. And these fucking Trump supporters won't do it. And that's the problem. They're the reason the virus is spreading. What was it?
I don't know where you're getting at. Ignorance?
Vaccines? You don't remember hearing that?
Oh, true. Okay. Yeah, sure. Vaccines. Yeah.
You think the vaccines were very helpful?
I think, no, because every year you would need a new vaccine. So I think ultimately, I think the virus molds or it evolves.
So the vaccines weren't helpful.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think that when it comes to the congestion that hospitals had, I think that it was worth trying to help,
okay,
to help
an attempt is one thing, but you're saying ultimately vaccines had no effect.
I mean, they help the symptoms. They help people not have as serious symptoms.
Okay, so you think they were good?
Not. I mean, I thought it was worth
here's what
trying.
I'm confused about. You're like, if Trump
worth...
would have taken things seriously, it would have been better. I'm like, okay, what? So let's say Trump was like, holy shit, guys, this is really serious. What do you think would have happened that was different then? Explain it to me.
I think people would not have been out, ignorantly trying, or ignorantly just, going to parties or
I think
people would
was
more
illegal.
careful.
That was illegal in many places anyways, right? And I think that the people that were willing to break the local mandates to do that shit would have done so even if Trump told them not to. In fact, Trump told everyone to take the vaccine, and predominantly it was his supporters that didn't, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah,
okay,
I mean, after the vaccine and Trump gave that messaging, Republicans died at a higher rate than Democrats.
Why?
Because they didn't want to take the vaccine, because Trump told them not to take the vaccine.
So then the vaccine saved lives.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers seem to indicate that.
Okay,
yeah.
So Trump told them not to take the vaccine.
Yeah, he did.
Show me that quote.
Wait, no. He didn't say not to take. He said that they shouldn't be forced to.
Okay, so just to be clear, right? One, you said that the vaccine wasn't effective. The Biden administration tried to force us. Now you're changing and you're saying, so did you support Biden's vaccine mandate?
I didn't think that people should be forced to take the
Okay.
vaccine.
Okay. So then what's your problem with Trump? Biden wanted to force them. Trump didn't. Trump suggested everyone take it. Biden didn't. Biden and Kamala were the two that cast shade on the vaccine until they got elected. Then once they were elected, they were like, oh, when we were saying all that shit about not trusting Trump's vaccine, now we think you should take it. In fact, not only should you should be forced to. So explain to me how that was a better situation. The only person that ever cast shade between the Biden administration or between Biden and his team and Trump and his team on the vaccine was Biden. In fact, one of the things that Trump supporters are still pissed at him to this day is that he still touts Operation Warp Speed. His own supporters pissed at him for that. He's the biggest vaccine salesman there is.
I mean, probably time was a factor that allowed people to feel more confident in the vaccine after Trump's initial rollout, because it was done rather quickly. But yeah, I mean, after a certain amount of time, there was more trust.
So just to be clear, Trump doing it quickly was risky, but it saved lives. So therefore, Biden was justified in saying it's too fast, it should be risky. But coincidentally, the timing was as such that as soon as Biden won the election, all of a sudden that was enough time for Biden to realize it wasn't risky and force people to take the vaccine, which you yourself said initially wasn't that helpful.
That's how time works, Rob. Yeah.
No, that's not. That seems to be a pretty big coincidence.
I just said that, and yeah, I mean the time. Yeah, I mean, obviously, time affects how confident you are. After seeing the results, with given time, you feel more confident.
Tell me the results when Biden started to tout the vaccine that he had seen. Go ahead. When was it? What were the results he was looking at?
You mean after the mandate?
It was before the mandate.
So Biden, once he was trying to force people to take it, people. I think it's worth.
You couldn't even decide
it's
yourself.
Worth having a higher level of confidence after more time has passed and you see the results of the vaccine. That you can not force, but you can implement a mandate. But I mean, like I said, I'm not completely on board with forcing every citizen. If you're in the military, then yes, you signed up for it, and if the government wants you to take the vaccine, and they're forcing you, then yeah, I mean that just makes sense. Military personnel have a higher standard.
So I just want to be clear. When did the first data come out to suggest that the vaccine was good? Because a lot of people were. When were people?
Because Kamala and Biden switched their tune on the vaccine. That
your claim is this: that it seems like a coincidence, but this is how it went. Before the election, Biden's team questioned the vaccine and whether he should take it. After the election, they saw the evidence that it was worthwhile. I said, that seems mighty coincidental. You're like, yeah, but that's how it worked. So I said, where's the evidence that they were looking at? That's all I'm asking you. When did we first have evidence from we had a large population of people that took the vaccine? We said, oh, this is working very well. Like, when was the CDC's first study on this?
To be honest, I couldn't give you a date. Okay.
Do you have a guess?
I'm guessing 20. I mean, it would probably have to be about 2020, 2021. Obviously, when Trump left office and Biden came in. But I mean, 2021.
So what we would need to see is a substantial amount of people to take the vaccine and then gauge how effective it was, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what I'm alluding to.
Okay, well, Biden in September was quoted as questioning the vaccine. And then in December, after he won the election, he took it himself and said there was nothing to worry about. So how many studies were done by December 2020 where Biden had a change of heart?
And December 2020 is when Biden took the vaccine.
Correct. And the exact date, I believe, if this is correct, was... Let's see. Kamala Harris said in October 7th, 2020, if Donald Trump tells us we should take it, I'm not taking it. In September 5th through 7th, Biden stated he would take a vaccine only if we know all that went into it and emphasized the need for transparency. I trust vaccine and scientists, but I don't trust Donald Trump. This reflected concerns that political pressure might compromise safety or rush approval. And this was the argument. Trump was continually saying, trust me, by the end of the year, we're going to have these vaccines rolling out, et cetera, et cetera. And the Democrat narrative was like, no way, it's too fast, not going to happen. Then on December 21st, 2020, Biden received his first Pfizer dose publicly and endorsed the vaccine, urging Americans, there's nothing to worry about. When the vaccine is available, I urge you to take it.
Right after the election.
Right. So what data was he looking at that all of a sudden he was like, oh shit, I questioned this in September. My running mate questioned it in October. But now in December, we have enough evidence to see that it's good. If it wasn't the change of heart because now he was elected and saw political expediency and saying, okay, now you should take it, then what was it?
I'm assuming that they have more, once people have, the presidency, they have access to more information. And
he wasn't the president. He didn't get sworn in until January 20th. Do you have any evidence that he was being briefed by Dr. Fauci?
Right after the election, though. But
your
I mean,
faith
okay,
in this,
so
your faith in,
look, Rob,
I mean,
if
the whole
you're trying to say that there wasn't some like, if shady political moves were going on, then I condemn it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not always like, even though you said that I've voted Democrat, previous elections, I just recently was able to vote these past couple elections, and Biden was the first person I voted for, but it was mainly like most people do, voting off of the lesser of two evils, according to.
Well, nonetheless, all we're doing is taking specific things that you've said and showing your massive amounts of contradictions. Criticize Trump's spending during the pandemic, and then it turns out that you wanted him to do. Let me finish. You criticize. It started with you criticizing Trump's spending during the pandemic, and then what happened was we got you to admit that you wanted policies that would have led to Trump spending more. You criticized the way that spending occurred. Then you were forced to admit that it was actually written by Democrats in Congress. Right? And Trump just signed the bill, right? Then you criticized Trump not taking it seriously. And I asked you, what mechanism did you think was one of the best to fight? First, you said the vaccine wasn't effective. Then once you saw utility in it, you said, never mind, the vaccine was effective. And when I said, okay, given that, the only group of people that cast shade on the vaccine was the Biden administration. So why don't you blame them for putting in people's head that this could be dangerous? And you're like, well, because I just believed that they later got better data, and so therefore it was right to be critical of it initially, and then right to not be critical of it right at the exact same time after they got elected to do so. It seems laughable. It seems contradictory.
More information became available to the Biden administration. That's what follows, right? That's what my reasoning tells me. But if like I said, it's messed up. It's really messed up if Kamala and Biden were playing politics with COVID. Okay,
not only were they, but so is Pfizer. So the clinical trials that Pfizer used were actually done before the election, but they didn't release the results of them until after the election, which seems highly dubious and seems like the reason for it was that they wanted to put their thumb on the scale of the election. Otherwise, they would just release the trials when they were done, particularly if they saw an urgency in people getting this vaccine as quick as possible. Instead, they waited until right after the election, even though the results were done.